day, everyone. Today we will discuss species concepts and hierarchical taxonomic classification. Species concepts can be defined based on morphological species concept or MSP. It could also be through biological species concept or BSC, or it could be through typological species concept or TSC and nominalistic species concept or NSC. And we will discuss them one by one. Let us study morphological species concept or MSP. According to morphological species concept or MSP, species are groups of organisms that share identical morphological or physical structures or characteristics. For instance, a shark and a dolphin shown in the picture possess similar features because of the environment they live in. However, sharks are more related to rays and other fish, while dolphins are more closely related to whales and mammals. Although their differences are certainly substantial, example, sharks are cold-blooded and dolphins are warm-blooded. Sharks and dolphins have some undeniable similarities: side fins, a dorsal fin, and a torpedo-shaped body. These similarities are analogies, traits. The two lineages evolved independently as adaptations for moving swiftly in the water. Sharks were gliding through the oceans long before dolphins descended from land-dwelling mammals. Dolphins evolved flippers, a dorsal fin, and a torpedo-shaped body as natural selection shaped them for the life of an ocean predator. However, the limitation of MSP is that all organisms have physical traits and they may have the same morphological structures but belong to a different species. Number 2 is biological species concept or BSC. In biological species concept perspective, Ernest Mayr in 1904 defined species as groups of interbreeding natural populations that are reproductively isolated from such groups. But the limitation of this is that organisms may be alike but of different species that can mate but produce infertile offspring. For instance, take a look at our illustration. A horse with 64 chromosomes is mated with a donkey with 62 chromosomes. As a result, mule with 63 chromosomes, and this mule is infertile. Number 3 is typological species concept or TSC. In typological species concept or TSC, Aristotle and Carolus Linnaeus thought of each species as a set of organisms that resemble one another and is distinct from other sets. However, the limitations of this is that several phenomena, such as sexual dimorphism, meaning difference in form between individuals of different sex in the same species, or polymorphism, genetic variations among members of single species, and age differences, the same species develop strikingly morphological differences. Number 4 is the normalistic species concept or NSC. In normalistic species concept or NSC view, according to Occam together with his followers, Buffon, Bessel, Lamarck, and Benimore, believe that only individuals exist while species are man's creation. Organisms were only termed as species for the sake of classifying closely resembled individuals. And in 1859, together with Alfred Wallace, Charles Darwin considered species as the fundamental units of evolution, which provided the most coherent and detailed definition. And since Earth is composed of huge biodiversity of living things, we should be able to understand that they are related to one another. In the levels of biodiversity, an ecosystem diversity is composed of variety of ecosystems in a given place, just like illustration A is composed of grassland, ocean, farm. In species diversity, you can see variety of species within a habitat or region, just like illustration B, where in the forest you can see species of rats, species of trees, species of birds, and many more. In genetic diversity, you can see variety of genes within a species, just like illustration C, showing the variation of a species of rodents. Genetic diversity variation may be in the form of alleles, total chromosome, or chromosome structure. This is an example of genetic diversities due to alleles. Each child has inherited a blue eye gene from their mother and a brown eye gene from their father. They all have brown eyes because brown eye genes are dominant. But heterozygous brown-eyed parents give rise to homozygous brown eye, heterozygous brown eye, and homozygous blue-eyed offspring. This is also an example of genetic diversities in the number of chromosomes. Rice has a haploid chromosome of 12. Domestic cats has 38 chromosomes. Man has 46 chromosomes. This is an example of species diversity in oceans. Here is also an example of ecosystem diversity, also known as ecological diversity. So we have tropical rainforest, temperate forest, coniferous forest, tropical grassland, temperate grassland, desert, tundra, mountain, and many more. Hierarchical taxonomic classification was introduced by Carolus von Linnaeus. Because of that, he is known as the father of taxonomy. And aside from that, he was also credited for introducing binomial nomenclature, two-part name for a species, also known as the scientific name. Hierarchical taxonomic classification is an organized way of naming and describing organisms and their relationships to one another. Carolus Linnaeus described 8 taxonomic categories or taxa such as domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. And the importance of this hierarchical taxonomic classification is that it allows us to easily identify a species on Earth. For instance, in the Philippines, there are different regions, and one region is Metro Manila. And in Metro Manila, there are different cities, and one city is Parañaque City. In Parañaque City, there are different barangays, and an example is Barangay San Dionisio. In Barangay San Dionisio, it's composed of different villages, and one example is Aurenino Village. And then in Aurenino Village, there are different streets. Another example is Rosal Street. In Rosal Street, there are different houses. An example is Block 6, Lot 1B. And in Block 6, Lot 1B, there are different persons residing in it. But we are only looking for one species, and that is 1P de la Cruz. So you see, through hierarchical taxonomic classification, we can easily identify the species. Another importance of this hierarchical taxonomic classification is that it allows us to understand the diversity of living organisms. Moreover, it helps us to learn the different kinds and types of plants and animals. Let us identify now the different domains and kingdoms. The 3 domains are domain bacteria, domain archaea, and the domain eukarya. Under kingdoms, we have 6. Kingdom Eubacteria, Kingdom Archaebacteria, Kingdom Protista, Kingdom Plantae, Kingdom Animalia, and Kingdom Fungi. This time, we will classify this banana in the illustration. So, domain Eukarya, Kingdom Plantae, phylum Angiosperms, class Monocots, order Zingiberales, family Musaceae, genus Musa, species Acuminata. And the scientific name of this banana is derived from genus and species. So the scientific name of this banana is Musa acuminata. This time we will classify man. So domain Eukarya, kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, class Mammalia, order Primates or Primata, family Hominidae, genus Homo, species Sapiens. So the scientific name of man is Homo sapiens. And based on the illustration, you can see here that domain is the broadest and species is the least in the classification system. This time you are now ready to take the quiz. So for the Let's Try part of your module, answer these questions. Number 1. Which species concept proposes that all organisms are classified according to their common physical structures? A. Nominal species concept. B. Biological species concept. C. Typological species concept. D. Morphological species concept. Number 2. What is the importance of classifying organisms? A. Allow us to easily identify species on Earth. B. Allow us to understand the diversity of living organisms. C. Helps us to learn the different kinds and types of plants and animals. D. All of the above mentioned. Number 3. Which of the following shows the correct hierarchical arrangement of organisms? A. Domain, kingdom, class, phylum, family, genus, species, order. B. Domain, phylum, order, kingdom, species, family, class, genus. C. Domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. D. Domain, genus, phylum, family, class, order, kingdom, species. Number 4. Which of the following statements best describes the biological species concept? A. Organisms are included in a single species if they share common physical appearance. B. Organisms are included in a single species if they resemble one another. C. Organisms are included in a single species but geographically isolated from one another. D. Organisms are included as a single species if they both have the same function. Number 5. Charles Darwin and Alfred Wallace are credited for discovering evolution by natural selection. A. True, B. False, C. No correct answer, D. All of the above. For the Let's Create part of your module, create a concept map showing the 6 kingdoms of biological taxonomic classification. Be able to write at least 2 examples for each kingdom together with its economic importance. And you will be graded based on this criteria: completion 4, content 4, organization 4, with a total of 12 points. Answer now your Module 4. You may answer in any sheet of clean paper and submit a screenshot of it to your teacher. Happy answering! Thank you for watching. Do not forget to click like, share, and subscribe.